India's roads are becoming increasingly dangerous. The bustling streets, once symbols of progress and connectivity, are now fraught with peril. A worrying trend is emerging: teenage drinking and driving. This alarming behavior is not just a phase, it's a growing epidemic. More and more young people are getting behind the wheel after consuming alcohol. The thrill of the night and peer pressure often cloud their judgment. This reckless behavior is leading to a surge in accidents, injuries, and even deaths. The consequences are dire and far-reaching. The issue demands immediate attention. Authorities and communities must come together to address this crisis. We need to understand the factors driving this dangerous trend. Is it the lack of awareness, inadequate enforcement of laws, or societal pressures? We must also find ways to prevent it. Education, stricter regulations, and community involvement are crucial. The future of our youth depends on it. Ensuring their safety today will pave the way for a brighter tomorrow. This isn't just a problem for teenagers. It affects everyone on the road. Every driver, passenger, and pedestrian is at risk. It affects everyone on the road. The ripple effect of one bad decision can be catastrophic. Innocent lives are at risk. The pain and suffering caused by these accidents are immeasurable. Pedestrians, cyclists, and other motorists are vulnerable to the reckless actions of drunk drivers. Their safety is compromised every day. The impact on families is devastating. The loss of a loved one leaves a void that can never be filled. The loss of a loved one, the burden of medical expenses, and the emotional trauma are immeasurable. Families are left to pick up the pieces. We can't ignore this problem any longer. It's time for decisive action and community engagement. It's time to address the root causes and find solutions. Education and awareness campaigns in schools can make a significant difference. The statistics are alarming, but numbers only tell part of the story. Each number represents a life altered forever. Behind each statistic is a human life, a family shattered, and a community left to grieve. The emotional toll is profound. It is time for a collective effort to curb this menace and make our roads safer. Together we can create a safer environment for everyone. Western culture, often portrayed through movies and TV shows, has a strong influence on Indian teenagers. These portrayals often glamorize a lifestyle that includes frequent partying and alcohol consumption, making it seem appealing and desirable. Many of these shows depict drinking alcohol as glamorous and cool. The characters are often shown having the time of their lives, surrounded by friends and fun, which sends a powerful message to impressionable young minds. Social media further reinforces this image. Platforms like Instagram and Snapchat are filled with posts that glorify drinking, making it seem like a normal and essential part of socializing and having fun. Teenagers see their peers, often influenced by these portrayals, associating alcohol with parties and a good time. This peer influence is incredibly strong, as teenagers are at a stage where fitting in and being accepted by their social group is crucial. This creates a perception that drinking is a normal part of growing up, a symbol of adulthood and coolness. The idea that alcohol is a rite of passage into adulthood is deeply ingrained, making it difficult for teenagers to resist. Teenagers eager to fit in and be seen as cool start to believe that drinking is a rite of passage. They may feel that in order to be accepted and to belong, they need to participate in these activities. The problem is compounded by the fact that many teenagers lack role models who promote responsible behavior. Without positive examples to follow, they are more likely to turn to the media and their peers for guidance. Without proper guidance, they are more likely to succumb to peer pressure and media influences. This can lead to unhealthy behaviors and a distorted understanding of what it means to grow up and be responsible. Many Indian teenagers are simply unaware of the serious risks associated with drinking and driving. They don't fully understand how alcohol impairs judgment, slows reaction time, and reduces coordination. This lack of awareness is partly due to inadequate education on the subject. Schools often fail to provide comprehensive education on the dangers of drunk driving. Parents, too, may shy away from discussing this sensitive topic. This lack of awareness has deadly consequences. Teenagers, unaware of the risks, get behind the wheel after drinking, putting themselves and others in harm's way.
India does have laws in place to prevent underage drinking and driving. However, the enforcement of these laws is often lax. The legal drinking age varies from state to state, creating confusion and making it easier for underage individuals to obtain alcohol. Even when laws are in place, enforcement is often weak. Bars and liquor stores may not always check for identification, and underage drinking often goes unpunished. This lack of enforcement sends the wrong message to young people. It creates a sense of impunity, leading them to believe that they can drink and drive without facing consequences.
Section 6. A question of upbringing, parental influence and supervision. Parents play a crucial role in shaping their children's behavior. Their attitudes towards alcohol and driving, and the level of supervision they provide, can significantly influence their teenagers' choices. Unfortunately, some parents may not be setting the right example. Teenagers who grow up in households where alcohol is consumed freely may view drinking as acceptable behavior. Lack of communication and supervision can further exacerbate the problem. Parents need to be more vigilant, setting clear rules and boundaries for their teenagers. Openly discussing the dangers of drinking and driving can make a difference.
Section 7. The price of prosperity, affluence and access to vehicles. India's growing economy has brought prosperity to many families. However, this prosperity has also led to an increase in the number of teenagers who have access to vehicles. While owning a car can be a symbol of progress, it also poses risks when in the wrong hands. Teenagers, often lacking experience and maturity, may not fully grasp the responsibility that comes with driving. When this access to vehicles is combined with a culture of acceptance towards alcohol, the results can be deadly. The thrill of speed, the sense of freedom that comes with driving can be intoxicating for young people. Section 8. The devastating consequences, loss, injury and trauma. The consequences of teenage drinking and driving are far-reaching and devastating. The most immediate and tragic consequence is the loss of life. Thousands of people die each year in India due to drunk driving accidents. Many of these victims are innocent pedestrians, cyclists or passengers in other vehicles. Those who survive accidents often face life-altering injuries. Spinal cord injuries, brain damage and broken bones can lead to permanent disabilities and a lifetime of pain and suffering. The emotional trauma of such accidents can be just as debilitating. Survivors may suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and depression. The guilt and remorse of taking a life or causing injury can haunt them forever.
Section 9. A call to action, preventive measures and collective responsibility. The issue of teenage drinking and driving demands immediate and collective action. This is not just a problem for the teenagers involved, but for the entire community. The ripple effects of a single incident can be devastating, affecting families, friends, and even strangers. We need a multi-pronged approach that involves stricter laws, better enforcement, increased awareness, and a change in social norms. Stricter laws can serve as a strong deterrent, but they must be backed by consistent and fair enforcement. Law enforcement agencies need to be more vigilant in enforcing drinking age laws and cracking down on establishments that sell alcohol to minors. This means regular checks and undercover operations to ensure compliance. Random breathalyzer tests and stricter penalties for drunk driving can act as deterrents. These measures can make potential offenders think twice before getting behind the wheel after drinking.
Education is key. It's not enough to just enforce laws. We need to educate our youth about the risks and consequences of their actions. We need to educate our teenagers about the dangers of drinking and driving through school programs, public awareness campaigns, and interactive workshops. These programs should be engaging and relatable, using real-life stories and interactive elements to drive the message home. Parents need to play a more proactive role, setting clear expectations and maintaining open communication with their children. They should discuss the dangers of drinking and driving regularly, and set a good example by practicing responsible behavior themselves. The fight against teenage drinking and driving is not just the responsibility of the government or law enforcement, it is a community issue that requires everyone to be involved. It requires a collective effort from parents, educators, communities, and young people themselves. Everyone has a role to play in creating a safer environment. We need to change the perception that drinking and driving is cool or glamorous. This can be achieved through media campaigns, peer influence, and positive role models. We need to foster a culture of responsibility and respect for the law. This means celebrating those who make the right choices and providing support for those who need help. Only then can we make our roads safer for everyone. By working together, we can create a community where safety is a priority and everyone looks out for one another.